Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. Here are your hosts, Oswin and Lord Night.
Dear, cause I'm missing you. So you did that just so I could quit singing. You seem to think I actually care. You seem to think I care that people don't know that I cannot sing. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
You're scaring the dog.
That's real witchcraft right there.
Right.
God, please be something fun. Please be something fun. I want to do something fun.
So today's topic is finding meanings in random things. And sometimes random meanings in everything.
I remember tossing this in because I remember we had a student one day called me up and was like, "Oh, look at the rainbow. Isn't it a pretty rainbow? And it looks like it's between your house and my house, like it's arcing over between." That's fine and dandy, but I need to know about this. I don't give a crap about your rainbow.
Right.
So what is this thing to where one person sees something so, awe-inspiring? Because I remember I was at work one day and I saw some clouds and it was a thunderstorm and stuff. And I'm like, that looks like Thor.
Right.
Took a picture of it and just sent it. I was having a moment.
Right. And I remember getting that picture and I'm like, it's a cloud.
Exactly.
Why are you sending me pictures of clouds?
Why are you? And then I have to point it out. So, I mean, this is what this is about. This is about that stuff where you're sitting back going, huh?
Right. So why is it that we do this?
We would like to think that the universe during these times are actually talking to us. And these are our proof that they've made this happen.
So you think it comes from the consciousness of we are not alone, and this is proof that a higher power exists?
No.
Okay.
All right. Because here's the thing. What if it's the other way around? There's a random event, but because of spirituality or deity influencing you, you perceive it in a different way than everybody else, like we do on the astral plane.
Okay. More like the clouds.
Right.
Not everybody's going to see the same thing.
Makes sense?
You saw Thor or Thor's hammer, and I saw a cloud.
Right. Well, there's a difference between being there in the rain, hearing the lightning and thunder, and seeing this cloud that looks like a guy holding a hammer.
Right.
And me just sending you a picture.
Right.
You know, I send you a picture, you're like, okay.
Right.
You know, again, this is just things, I just think it was a random moment, but because everything that was going on in the way I think, this is what I was thinking of.
So but therefore, that's what you saw.
That's what I saw.
Okay.
But my question is, could the divine inspiration there be the fact that people see something in random things? Not the fact that random things don't just happen because they're random things.
All right, but I'm still back to, where does this come from? Is this our need to be justified that what we're believing in is real?
Or is it an actual connection with deity and it's saying, no, look at this random thing in a different light. Look at it from a different angle.
So you're saying it's possible it could come from either one of these directions.
Right. Hence the reason why some people will see something and go and be all inspired by it. And other people look at it and go, yeah, okay.
Right.
I could have had a V8.
Right. Kind of like the rainbow instance that you gave in the beginning, where the student saw the rainbow as a connection between us and them. Right. And you're like, but it's just a rainbow.
It's just a rainbow, and because it's in our general area of one house and a general area of another house.
Right, and I think that conversation actually went, what do you think it means? And you're like, it's just a rainbow.
What does it mean to you?
And the student was like, I'm having a moment here. Don't ruin it.
But that is.
But yeah, so
I guess the question I'm asking on this is, do you believe that inspiration, that spark that happens to happen in your head, not the actual random event, is the actual divine connection to spirituality or to deity?
well, it could be. But then if we're going with that, then we can't say, well, there are no random events. Because then it's there for a reason. And we're back to everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, but in my case, the way I'm thinking about it, and I could be wrong here, is that we are finding meaning in random events. They happen anyway. It just happens you happen to notice it at a particular time when you're thinking a particular way.
Okay, but then is it really random? If it's that, you see where I'm going with this.
Right.
If it's that connection with deity, or that connection with the universe, or whatever you're wanting to call it, is it really a random event?
Well, think about it like this. The Last Airbender, the cartoon, not the movie.
The movie was horrible. Anyway,
when people like me and you watch it, right? We'll sit there and talk for hours about, oh God, all our mysteries are there. Hell, just have them watch this and we'll be done with it.
right.
And what brings up the question is, are we seeing the mysteries because we know the mysteries? Or are the mysteries actually just there? Because our perception of these concepts are different.
So how does that tie into this?
Well, in other words, this is a random cartoon. We're assuming that the people that wrote this did not know occult and pagan philosophies.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? They're
Yeah.
just making a cartoon.
Right.
But yet, in doing so, they put a lot of these spiritual concepts that we talk about a lot and some of our mysteries there. Do we see the mysteries because we know the mysteries? And if you didn't know the mysteries, you would just be like, it's another thing.
Right. It's just a cartoon.
Right. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I'm asking is, what if these random events that happen all the time, but just because you happen to be in a different mind connection or different headspace, that you see it in a different way in which it gives meaning to all of a sudden?
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's very possible.
Because the thing about it this way, just like, the way dogs and cats behave, and there's times that we portray them based on their facial and stuff expressions, what we think it means. But to them could just be, I got gas.
Right. Right. No, it could be your dog coming up to you and doing a specific thing, and you taking that as, oh, my dog wants to play. When in actuality, the dog's just like, hey. And there we have it.
Down. Good boy.
But,
But do you see where I'm saying? This is where I'm trying to draw that line. Where's the difference? When do we recognize that this event was touched by deity and when it's just you?
I don't know. How do you draw that line?
But that's my
Because
point.
to anybody else, just because you see something particular, and I mean, how many times have we heard, oh, you're just reading into that?
Well, okay. Well, let's think about it this way. Let's say it's a mass event. Let's say it's an event where thousands of people all say that they saw the same thing.
Okay, like the visions of the Mother Mary.
Mary and the
Or a
lights
specific
over,
nun.
Yeah, the lights in
Oh yeah, the
Philadelphia.
Brown Mountain Lights.
and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
All right. There's where I think that these events might be deity imposing their will here to guide us.
Okay.
Because again, you have multiple feelings, or everybody seems to have seen or perceive the same thing.
Right.
Where the moments we're talking about is it's just you.
Okay, but can you honestly say that that's not a deity intervention
Well, I'm saying that
or interaction?
well, let's say they're both deity intervention or their fingerprints on there.
Right.
The difference is one's external to you. The other one we're talking about is internal.
Okay.
It's a very personalized message for you.
Okay.
Because there's been a lot of times I've been upset or whatever and mad and be driving to work or whatever, and the perfect song comes on.
Right.
Out of nowhere.
Right.
All right. And my assumption there is it's me making a connection there, either through the inspiration of divinity or not. Does that make sense?
Right. When in all actuality, something like that, it was just you were in the right place at the right time.
Right. It's just
the song played, you made a connection.
Right. It's a random event. It was not set up. Nobody went back in time 50 years and said, okay, we got to get this mouse to move quarter of an inch. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't see where in the world that is. It's just me internally as deity going, no, maybe you should pay better attention to this song. We're going to inspire you to keep on doing what you need to this way.
Okay.
So it's a very personal message.
All right. But again, how many times have we heard, oh, you're just reading into it? So when something like this happens, what do you suggest? Do you suggest we don't talk about it to anyone? Or do we find somebody who thinks more along the same lines that we do, who might possibly understand what we're talking about?
Well, I think the best way to sit there and to start off this conversation with somebody is to flat out tell them, I already understand. You might think I'm nuts on this, but here's what in the world happened, and this is how it made me feel. What's your opinion of this?
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That they're already setting up, okay, I already understand. You might not experience this. Just like our analogy with the picture of the clouds that I thought looked like Thor.
Right.
Without that added info there, you're not in the right mind frame.
Okay. But then that leads me to a question of why do we feel the need to share it with anybody?
It's that feeling, I think. It was so inspiring to you, you hope it inspires others.
Okay.
You know?
No, that makes sense. I know I've had those moments where, something happened and I was so inspired by it. I wanted to share it with somebody, but.
And then you did, and they're sort of looking at you going,
okay,
can we get to the drinks? No, I just, I do not want to be a wet blanket on your moment, but.
Right.
This seems more of a personal. I'm sorry, if that was to happen, that's probably what I would tell somebody. Is, this seems more of a personal thing. Let me let you take a moment.
Right.
You and your thoughts or whatever. Do you need a rag afterwards?
Now, if the person you're sharing with happens to get some inspiration from it, then that's a different story. But
right.
If you're that person on the other end and you're not receiving that divine inspiration, be nice about it. Don't. Well,
and especially if they're starting off with the conversation of, I understand you might not feel the same way about this, but here's the experience I had.
Right. I just felt like I had to share it with somebody,
right.
And you're close to me, and I wanted to share that with you.
Right. You might just look at me and go, okay. It's all right to tell people, you know what? Sometimes I don't expect an answer. I just need to say it out loud to someone. So I can look at you and go, do I really sound nuts?
Right.
Well,
you ask me that all the
time. If you're not questioning your sanity on a regular basis in craft, you're not doing it right. I'm just saying, Marge. Anything else about this? I think we've beaten this with a dead horse.
I think we have. And I kind of hoped it would go a little bit further, but I think it pretty much covered everything.
All right. I mean, the only thing I got to say about this is, yes, please keep in mind that people, especially if you're a priest and a priestess, you have to keep in mind that people have these, and yes, they expect you to be very nice to them about it or something, or like be, oh yeah, you're right, you're valid. But I don't see where in the hell we can actually validate that, knowing what we're discussing here.
Right.
You know?
Well, I mean, again, if you're that person on the other end and you're not receiving that same amount of, or any amount of inspiration from what somebody's sharing with you, it's going to be hard to validate anything that person says.
Well, I mean,
regarding that situation.
But I hate to be this way as a priest or someone. I could look at them and go, hey, this is something you need to put into your book of shadows.
Right.
All right. For your personal thing. I mean, because I'm sorry, to me, these are very personal connections. I understand you want to share them, but they're also, to a certain point, they're very personal, and they need to be dissected that way. And
right.
And yeah, when you're asking other people's opinion on this stuff, be careful what you're asking for, because not everybody is going to look at you and be nice, and they're just going to go, it sounds a little nuts to me, but okay.
Right. No, not everybody's going to be that way.
You know, if it gets you there.
Ready for the next topic?
Sure.
Why is it conspiracy only when things go bad?
Why is that? You know, haven't you ever seen people do that? When something goes wrong, they make these really complicated stuff.
Oh, yeah. You see it happen all the time.
I mean, come on. Look over the past year. Elections and all this other stuff. I mean, anything goes a little kinky, you got conspiracies out there.
Right. It's all a conspiracy theory. Like with the election, it was rigged. And of course, how many times over how many past elections have we heard it was rigged?
Well, let's go a little bit simpler and get a little bit more personal. How many times have you heard, well, Mars is in retrograde?
Is that really a conspiracy theory, though?
Well, it's one of them things. You're blaming your bad luck on something else. That's the real question. Is there a conspiracy, or is it just stupidity?
Well, I guess it depends on what you're talking about. I mean,
because a conspiracy, think about it this way. A conspiracy could look like a group of people doing something, right? Even though everybody in that group of people are doing 15 different things.
Okay.
But from an outside point of view, it looks like there's a bigger conspiracy going on.
All right.
This person happens to buy this house, then happens to sell it to somebody else who fixes it up or whatever. Suddenly it becomes a conspiracy.
Right. Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
You were trying to buy a house one time.
Uh-huh.
And then the woman's husband got involved and then sold it out from underneath you and this other stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Technically, that looks like a conspiracy.
Yeah, no, that looks like a conspiracy.
All right, but from our point of view, but you looking at that woman had nothing to do with it. It was just her husband was going into a completely different direction than she was.
Right. Her husband was a dick.
Right. But do you see what I'm saying? It wasn't a real yeah, it was, but it wasn't at the same time.
Right.
You know, it wasn't that.
But it's that type of thing where you look at something and you think they're doing this to sabotage whatever.
Right.
When in all actuality, is it that, or is it just that certain things happened in a certain manner that made it appear that way?
Or how about this? You're working with coworkers and their behavior is a little weird, and they keep on doing stuff that makes you maybe look bad. You would consider that a conspiracy.
Yeah, I would think they were trying to get me fired or something.
All right, but what if they're not? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What if
I had something like that on a small scale happen once.
Right.
Where me and a coworker were having a conversation, and she was a little bit loud with what she was saying, and somebody heard portions of our conversation, not necessarily what I said, but heard portions of that conversation, and she went and reported it to the supervisor, saying that we were saying terrible things about her and that we were, trying to run her off, when that wasn't the case. We weren't even talking about her. Her name was never mentioned. We were having just a general conversation.
Yeah, now here comes the question. What makes us do this?
I don't know. I don't know what makes us paranoid.
Yeah, but do you see what I'm saying, though?
Because that's exactly what it is. It's just people being paranoid.
What are you being paranoid about?
But now, did that come from like some past trauma? Or is it a mental issue where maybe you have anxiety about something and you need help and treatment? Is it, I don't know, is it just a mentality that everybody's out to get you?
I have no idea. I mean, I'd be scared if I had to go around thinking anybody was out to get me.
God, I know. God, I couldn't live like that.
I mean, I know I'm not the nicest person in the world.
What? You do come across as abrasive.
Who, me? Nah. Smooth as peanut butter.
Right. We're like smooth as nails on a chalkboard.
I mean, but what makes us that paranoid? What makes people think people are out to get you? Even as a society, what makes us think that the government's even smart enough to do a conspiracy? I mean, I hate to be this way, yes, with all the people that could have to be involved in some of these things that you hear, somebody would have snapped by now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I look at things like, the JFK conspiracy theories. The amount of involvement
it would take
that they're saying happened. When you look at the amount of people, is that really something that's possible?
Is it plausible?
And is anybody really smart enough to come up with something like that and pull it off?
Well, I mean, pull it off. Not only just pull it off, but to keep it.
Right.
I mean,
to keep it a secret so that the truth never comes out about it.
I mean, I'd hate to be this way. What secrets do you have that you've kept for all these years and never told anybody?
I will never tell. And we'll leave it at that. Because I have a few.
But seriously, I don't know what makes people paranoid like that.
See, I don't either.
Unless they got things to hide themselves.
Well, I do know that is a good point. I do know that at some point, if you're continuously hiding or lying about something or anything along those lines, eventually it's going to wear on you mentally. And you're going to wind up saying things like, they're out to get me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's like a common...
Well, or could the paranoia be because you thought of it, you think everybody else would have thought of it? If you
you mean like somebody who says, well, I know I'm not the smartest person, but if I can come up with this, somebody else could come up with it.
Yeah.
And do it better. Yeah, I could see that.
I could see a lot of situations I remember while I'm working and all this other stuff where I could sit back and kind of go, if I was a paranoid person. Yeah, do you see what I'm saying, though?
Right, but then you've got those people that perk up when they hear those words and they're like, what, paranoid?
Paranoid? What?
Oh, what are you talking about now?
Me? Paranoid? No, I'm not paranoid. Who are you?
But yeah.
Right. Is that where it comes from? Is it caused by our own deviousness?
Oh, that's a good question.
And that's where this really comes out with. Because you could see yourself doing this, so therefore you automatically assume everybody else will.
Right.
And I'm still thinking in my head about the situations where it looks like a conspiracy, but it really ain't. It's just really people going on about their business, and it's just the way you're looking at it that makes it look.
Right, it's perception.
It's perception that makes it look paranoid.
But now what about that? Again, that goes back to what makes people perceive things that way. You know what I mean?
Well, like I said,
is it a past trauma? Is it a past experience? Or is it that whole thing that we were just talking about where you're hiding stuff? And
I think it is your own guilt. And it's your own deviousness coming out. Because if it was you, on the other hand, you would be doing this.
Well, I guess I'm the oddball because I don't follow conspiracy theories and I don't think anybody's out to get me.
Well, I mean, but that's what I'm talking about. There are people out there and you don't even think about it. You just go about it.
True.
Their day, and they don't think about this. And you would be one of those people that might look like they're part of a conspiracy when they're not. You're just going about doing your day and your thoughts in your own little world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And somebody else could be like, well, he's trying to get my job. He's just doing his job.
Right.
Again, it's that perception. Don't get me wrong. There are some things in our world. There's a lot of things in our world that are objective.
Mm-hmm.
Objective reality. Sky's blue, clouds are red. Clouds are white.
Right.
Yeah. The earth turns, the air breathes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But there are certain things about our life that we do in our heads. And I think the majority of the times we put our feelings off on other people. We do the same thing. We do the same thing during funerals and weddings and all this other stuff.
Right.
Wishing them well and the whole 9 yards. And we mean it. We want it to, but, I still think that somewhere in the back of our head, you still got those people where I give them 6 months.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's behavior of the individuals and allowing that to influence them, I guess. Does that make sense?
And so I guess that's kind of where, like you and I, we don't really fall into that because we don't allow that influence to happen.
No.
And that's primarily because of our path. I mean, it's the way.
Well, most witches I know can get pretty blunt real fast.
Well, yeah.
It's straight to the point. It's like, really don't have time for bullshit. So, or is this what you're trying to do or not? Just let me know so I can move on with my life. I think that's why, the majority of the time we don't pay it too much attention. And we'll sit there and tell people, I might not do that. So I don't know. Do conspiracy goes on? Are there plans made behind closed doors and people don't know about them? Yes.
Could be.
Well, being in management, there was a lot of times, there was a lot of information. I knew that my employees didn't know, and I knew it was going to be 3 or 4 months before they found out.
Right.
And you have to keep your mouth shut. Technically, that's a conspiracy.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
It doesn't matter what it is. It could be changing of work schedules. It could be raises or anything like that.
Right.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, but...
No, but it is a conspiracy to withhold information.
Right. And the majority of times sometimes when people get that information, it's kind of maybe on little shaky grounds. We're trying to do this. We'll know in a couple of months.
Right.
But don't say anything. This is what we're working on. We still want management to prep for it.
Right.
All right, because it's looking that good. But it doesn't mean it's going to happen. So if it doesn't happen, is it still a conspiracy?
I suppose. I guess if somebody finds out.
Because when we hear the word conspiracy in regular things, it's kind of done cheek and tongue.
Yeah, a lot of it. But if you look at conspiracy, conspiracy denotes something sinister.
Does it?
Well, when I think of conspiracy, yeah, I think of something, I don't know, secretive and behind the scenes, and I automatically go to something sinister.
All right, and what about a surprise birthday party?
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, that's something secretive and conspiratorial, and but it's not necessarily a bad thing. True.
No, it's not. I don't know why I always go to that when I hear the word conspiracy.
Well, I guess that's part of what in the world this conversation is about, is why do our minds go there? Because you're not the only one that does that.
No. Well, okay. Back to that. Let's look at the definition of conspiracy, right? It's a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. So by definition, right? The other definition says the action of plotting or conspiring. I hate when they use the same word to use That is not a definite.
You're not
anyway.
supposed to use. All right, hold on. I know I'm not the biggest English person, but you're not supposed to use the word to describe the word.
Right. I don't think you can do that.
You're not allowed to do that. I don't believe you are.
Okay. All of these definitions, except for one, denote something sinister. Unlawful, harmful, or evil plan formulated in secret by two or more persons. Right? A combination of persons for such an unlawful, harmful, or evil purpose. A law, an agreement by two or more persons to commit a crime, fraud, or other wrongful act. Right? Any occurrence in action, combination, get rid of the ads. Combination in bringing about a given result.
See, the last one says nothing.
No, but out of out of 4 definitions, 3 of them are sinister.
Ish.
Ish.
You know, this is not how we talk at the evil,
At the evil convention?
At the evil convention.
No,
I'm just
it's
saying,
not.
That world domination club really needs to start moving more.
I told you I'm working on the shiny pants. We got to get those in place first.
But here's the question is, again, I'm still back to asking, what makes us that paranoid? I mean, because we believe that you cause your own problems. So these people after you, what did you do to them?
Right. What did you do to deserve whatever it is you think you're getting?
I mean, I've heard employees kind of get together and try to figure out a way to get rid of their boss.
Oh, yeah.
On more than one occasion.
Oh, yeah.
And I have been the source of that more than one occasion.
See, I knew it. You are evil.
Oh, no, I was the one they were trying to get rid of. I'm just saying, we still believe that these are your own, that you are the source of your own problems. So, I mean, the question is if your employees are trying to plot your demise, I guess the question is what did you do to deserve it?
Well, I mean, I can see that, but...
Well, I can see that, but I also see that where I've walked into places and trust me, these people were doing like half the work that they were supposed to be doing.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, I know there are some instances where in like this situation,
right,
where the manager or the supervisor comes across as the bad person because they're disrupting somebody's normal way of doing their work when that way of doing their work is not working.
Or is not what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
I've seen a lot of employees do that where they're trying to be nice and they wind up doing somebody else's job instead of their own.
Right.
And then they get in trouble, get fired because they were too busy trying to help somebody else out being nice.
Right. Not doing what they were supposed to be doing in the first place.
Right.
It's like I have to watch myself because I'm that type of person. I'm a helpful person. And I have to watch myself when I'm at work because somebody will be busy and I'll be like, oh, I'll get that. But if I do it too much, they expect it.
Right.
And then I feel like I've done myself an injustice.
Right. But you don't do it enough and things get behind and.
Right. So it's a fine line as far as that goes. But
so, I mean, questions.
Questions and no answers.
No answers. So what does make people that paranoid? We don't know. Personally, yes, I think the majority of the times it's caused by ourselves.
By whatever guilt or
even even the whole entire thought of, if I think of it like you were saying,
right,
then the other people should be able to think about it even better.
Right. I don't know. It's nice to throw it out there though. I'd love to hear what some other people think about this.
All right, I guess I'm out of coffee.
All right. Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media. Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning